Hey everyone, welcome to Inside Indiana Overtime. I'm Seth. I'm joined by Andrew Hussey of the IDS. We're at Assembly Hall, and Indiana beat Howard tonight, 86-77. Indiana's first win of the season. Archie Miller's first win as IU head coach. There was some good and some bad tonight. Let's start with the good, I guess. And you can't talk about the good from this game without IU's freshman Justin Smith, a double-double, obviously his first career double-double at IU, and 16 points. 16 points and 12 rebounds. And Al Durham also a strong game, 16 points. Really, the youth stepped up tonight.
Yeah, they had to play significant minutes because Juwan Morgan went down with an ankle injury about 5 minutes into the game. And when these two kind of stepped on the court together, they were terrific and really helped IU get out to a lead in the first half. And then again in the second half, I think Devonte Green had a turnover, and they put in Al again, and then they went off another run. So I think these two, it's going to be difficult for them moving forward because the games will certainly get more difficult. But these two really showed me a lot tonight.
Yeah, and especially early in the game when some of the older players were kind of struggling and still kind of slumping in this game, it really felt like, especially Al Durham, but Justin Smith too, both of them just seemed to be playing with a lot of confidence, and that's something that IU really needed tonight.
Yeah, I think Smith said after the game that Durham just has the most confidence of pretty much anyone he sees right now, and I think that confidence really showed because Al wasn't afraid to take any shot, and he had a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio today, and Coach Miller said after the game that he's done that in practice and has really shown a lot after he came back from his hamstring injury. So I think he could start to find himself maybe potentially even starting here down the road if he continues this good play up.
Yeah, and I mean, it helps when the guy who's currently starting at point guard, Josh Newkirk, is just ice cold just to start the season shooting wise. He's 4 of 16 now through 2 games. He was 2 of 9 tonight, and I mean, he was missing some wide open shots. He just can't find the touch right now. He did have 7 assists tonight, so not a total loss of the game for Josh Newkirk, but he's. I asked the question after the game, like, at what point do you draw the line between wanting to let him shoot his way out of the slump and also wanting to have the hotter players taking those shots? And I thought it was interesting that Archie said, I'm not going to tell Josh Newkirk to stop shooting. I think that's one of the best things he does. But at a certain point, I mean, I know shooters shoot, but like enough has to be enough at some point.
Yeah, we haven't really seen him get a good look on his shot right now, and he kind of struggled with three-point shooting last season, so it's kind of concerning that it's kind of carried over, and with IU's offense, there's not too many three-point shooters, and with Robert Johnson kind of struggling to shoot the ball right now, it's kind of concerning that with Colin Hartman out, there's not really any three-point shooters outside of Durham, who had three three-pointers today and had the best percentage of the team.
Yeah, you bring up Rob Johnson. He actually ended up with a pretty decent stat line. He finished 5 of 8 from the field, scored 14 points, and it felt early in the game. It felt like he was really tentative, indecisive. Like I think my observation was that he was always looking for the extra pass, like even if taking the shot was the right play. But I think in the second half, you started to see him get into more of a groove, and I think he's starting to find his confidence offensively.
Yeah, because offensively, the Hoosiers had to deal with the zone for the first time this season, for the first time in Archie's system with these guys. So it was a new learning experience for them. So I think maybe that was what kind of played into Rob's first half of kind of slowing it down and kind of figuring out where the passes. And Smith, he was playing at the top of that zone offense for IU, and he really did a good job kind of distributing things and then working down into the low block. But for Rob, he definitely does have to find that confidence, because if IU is going to have success this season, he has to find a shot, and he has to really regain his form from his sophomore year and kind of come into his own as an aggressive type of player.
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier Juwan Morgan's injury. He only played 5 minutes tonight. It was not really a factor. That injury happened very quickly in the game. Justin Smith stepped up in his spot. Archie Miller said after the game that it's a sprained ankle for Juwan Morgan. His status is unknown going forward, could miss the Seton Hall game. I guess we'll find out later this week. But I mean, that's a huge loss if they're without Juwan Morgan for Seton Hall, considering they're already without Colin Hartman, and they'll need this type of performance from Justin Smith if they're missing both of those guys.
Yeah, because those two, potentially Morgan and Hartman, could be their starters right now, and they're going to that 3-guard lineup right now. So I think not having those two guys and going to Seton Hall with some of the best front court in the nation, you got Angel Delgado for Seton Hall, was one of the best centers in the nation. And with kind of Duran and Frey playing pretty well at center, you just are kind of worried about that 4 position heading into one of the toughest non-conference games of the season for IU.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking ahead to that game, with the depleted front court, it's absolutely imperative that Duran Davis stays out of foul trouble in that game, because he's going to be matched up with Delgado for a lot of the game. And, if he is to sit on the bench for long spells because of foul trouble, I mean, Indiana doesn't really have anybody else to counter. I mean, Freddie McSwain is the backup center at this point. I mean, there's just a clear difference in size between Davis and McSwain. And not that Davis has, not that McSwain hasn't been a factor. I mean, McSwain had 7 rebounds tonight. He was right in the thick of things in the paint, but against a player like Delgado, you're going to want your best.
Yeah, you definitely went with Davis there, and especially on the offensive end of the floor with Morgan and Hartman out tonight. Davis had 7 of 9 shooting. He was very efficient around the paint, but he did struggle to shoot free throws, which the whole lot of IU teams struggled, and that was really bad. But you definitely want Davis both offensively and defensively to be your anchor, and without him, you kind of struggle with. I mean, Freddie has shown a lot of good things so far this season, but I don't know if he can hang with the type of bigs that Seton Hall presents IU.
Yeah, we even got the free throw shooting, but I mean, it was a mess for IU from the charity stripe tonight. They finished 12 of 29. That's, I mean, on the one hand, it's good that Indiana's drawing so many fouls and getting that 29 foul shots in one game is a lot. But I mean, that is not a good percent. That is not a free throw percentage that's conducive to winning games. I mean, you got to hit your free throws. Duran Davis set the tone early. He missed his first 5 free throws, and I mean, the crowd just broke out into a Bronx cheer once he finally made one. But Davis finished 3 of 10. It's good that IU's able to get to the line, but you need to convert those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, against this level of competition, they're able to pretty much skate by with missing all those free throws. But in games in the Big Ten and even later in a non-conference season, you're not going to be able to miss that many free throws and still win a game. And the margin of score doesn't look too great for IU, but if they would have hit even another third of those free throws, it would have been a whole different game.
Yeah, especially early on. But on the other hand, I guess it's not the worst problem to have, because that's much easier to fix than some of the communication issues that on both ends of the floor, defensively and offensively, that we saw against Indiana State on Friday. It's easier to just make your guys shoot free throws all day in the gym versus having to actually work out communication issues.
And one of the problems that late last year was IU wasn't able to get to the line. There's, I think, a few games where they didn't get to the line until late in the first half. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have when you can't make your free throws.
It's not that. I mean,
it's not the worst problem.
Right? Yeah, it's not the worst problem to have. But no, that's a good point. Bringing up everything from last year. Clifton Moore made his IU debut tonight. I think in some ways kind of showed why he may need a little more grooming. Literally dropped the ball on a play and they tried to bounce a pass into him in the post, and he just booted it. I mean, he got out a rebound, no points. I mean, but the thing is, especially if DeJuan Morgan's out, we're probably going to be seeing more of Clifton Moore against Seton Hall.
Yeah, I think we didn't see Zach McRoberts tonight. Many thought we might be able to see him as another forward with all these injuries in the front court, but I think Clifton Moore was a little nervous. It was his first action, and he kind of maybe the moment was a little too big for him. And in future games, he might be able to settle down a little bit. And I think getting him a little more experience, maybe 5 minutes here and there, is good, because you never know what injuries are going to happen. But I think if Hartman and Morgan come back healthy, we're not going to see much more at all.
Yeah, you're dead on there. I was a little surprised that McRoberts didn't go, but maybe it was just kind of after Morgan went down. Maybe it was just thinking ahead by Archie Miller to just get a little bit of game action now, just to shake the butterflies of it being your first regular season action. So then if you actually need to use him against Seton Hall, he's already got a few minutes under his belt.
Yeah, and Smith was playing so well they didn't really want to take him off the court either.
Right, yeah. I mean, that is a good problem to have. But yeah, I think that's all we got from this game. So for Andrew Hussey, I'm Seth Tao. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sticking with our coverage all from a busy weekend of IU sports, and enjoy your week.